Hey everyone, it's Tomek from Soccer Bedtime Stories. I'm so glad you found us here. Before the story starts, I wanted to ask you a favor. Soccer Bedtime Stories is an independent podcast made possible by listeners like you. If you are a returning listener, I would like you to consider joining Soccer Bedtime Stories community by becoming a member. You can click on the link in the podcast description or by visiting soccerbedtimestories.com. For as little as the cost of a coffee per month, you can ensure that the show continues and remains ad-free and accessible to fans all around the world. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the story, and I hope you reach out on Instagram and My Soccer Bedtime or at soccerbedtimestories.com. I hope you enjoy this story. Sleep well and dream big, soccer friend. Hello there, soccer friend. Before we begin tonight's adventure, we want to thank all our listeners around the world. Whether you're listening in Sydney, Dublin, New York, Toronto, or somewhere in between, we're so grateful for you being here. We also want to give a warm and heartfelt shout out and digital hug to a few loyal Liverpool dreamers who inspired the story. Marian, Kuba, Andy, Keith and Lee, Kyle, Darrow and Dan. This one's for you. As the stars twinkle above and the world begins to quiet down, let's travel, not to a packed stadium or the center circle of a Champions League final, but to a small backyard behind a grandmother's house in Portugal. There are no cameras here, no chants, no flashing lights, just a narrow strip of land, a ball that's seen better days, and a boy with fire in his heart. His name is Diogo. He doesn't shout to be seen. He doesn't demand the spotlight. Instead, he lets his heart, his feet, and his friends speak for him. Tonight's story is about quiet strength, about humility, and about something just as powerful, friendship. The kind that stands beside you, lifts you up, and stays with you forever. So pull up the covers and settle in, because sometimes the greatest football stories don't begin with fame. They begin with a pot accidentally knocked over, a PlayStation left quietly humming, and a dream that never once needed to be loud to be real. Origins, Diogo Jota. In a small town outside Porto, there was a long, narrow backyard behind a grandmother's house. It wasn't much, just a few feet wide and a couple dozen feet long, the kind of space where most kids might ride a bike, play tag, or make believe. But for young Diogo, it was a stadium. The concrete was cracked and the weeds sometimes pushed up between the stones. The fence was rusty and the air smelled faintly of his grandmother's soup drifting from the kitchen window. But Diogo didn't notice those things. To him, it was the Estadio do Dragão, the Maracanã, and Anfield all at once. He spent hours there after school, breaking fat flower pots, chipping the paint off walls, practicing with his left foot because his right was already strong. He'd set up cones made of old bottles or shoes, dribble through them with laser focus, and then strike again and again at a goal drawn with chalk on the garden wall. If the ball went wide, it might crash into a laundry line or land in a neighbor's tomato bed. Diogo always ran to fetch it, murmuring apologies before jogging back to take another shot. Sometimes he played alone, and other times with his younger brother Andre. They'd argue over fouls, take turns being goalkeeper, and compete to see who could hit the imaginary top corner more times in a row. When friends visited, the narrow space turned into a wild match with the ricochets, laughter, and friendly shouts. His parents would peek through the window. His mother, Isabel, sometimes worried about the mess. "Those poor flower pots," she'd sigh, seeing another one shattered. But Joaquin, his father, only smiled. "If he's playing football, Isabel, we know he is safe. We know he is happy," he would say. That little backyard was more than a playground. It was Diogo's first pitch, his training ground, his classroom. He learned to control the ball in tight spaces. He learned to stay calm when there was nowhere to turn. And more than anything, he learned to love the game with all his heart. Sometimes he imagined crowds. He'd hear imaginary chants echoing in his ears. He'd lift his arms after scoring, as if thousands were watching. He'd picture his name on a jersey, the roar of fans, the light of a big stadium. But no one else needed to be there. For Diogo, it was enough to feel the rhythm of the ball at his feet and the joy that came with every pass, every trick, every goal. It was here in this humble backyard where no lines were painted and no trophies were handed out that Diogo built the foundation of something special. Diogo didn't grow up with much. His home was small, cozy, and filled with the quiet sounds of hard work. His mother, Isabel, worked long hours assembling electronic parts in a car factory. His father, Joaquim, operated heavy cranes at a construction site. Every euro they earned was stretched carefully, and luxuries were few and far between. But young Diogo never complained. While other children wore shiny new cleats with famous player logos, Diogo played in worn-out boots. When they got holes, he patched them with tape. If they got too small, he passed them to Andre. Even if they weren't perfect anymore, he never whined or wished aloud. He simply kept playing. He didn't ask for new toys, new shoes, or expensive snacks. He never made a fuss when his parents said no. In fact, he rarely asked for anything at all. And still, one day, Isabel and Joaquim surprised him with something that they had saved up for over many months: a PlayStation. They placed it on the table like it was a sacred treasure. There was no wrapping paper, no big announcement, just a soft smile from Isabel and a quiet nod from Joaquim. Diogo's eyes widened in disbelief. He walked over slowly, as if afraid it might disappear. He touched it gently, then looked at his parents and whispered, "Obrigado, thank you." He didn't jump up and down, he didn't scream, he simply smiled. That night, he stayed outside kicking the ball until the stars appeared. And only then did he come inside, place the controller in his hands, and begin playing FIFA with Andre. They played as teammates, not competitors, passing to each other, celebrating each goal with high fives and laughter. Football by day, PlayStation by night. And all the while, Diogo was learning. Not just about the game, but about life. He learned the power of gratitude. He learned the quiet dignity of sacrifice. And he learned that happiness wasn't about what you had, but how much you loved what you had. Even when he began to stand out at school and on the pitch, Diogo never acted above others. He shared his lunch if a friend forgot theirs. He helped clean up after training, and he always passed the ball. Because Diogo understood something many young grown-ups forget. But greatness is not about how loudly you speak, but about the type of person you are. This lesson, that humility, is what made him not just a promising player, but a teammate everyone trusted, and a son his parents were very, very proud of. Andre was not just Diogo's younger brother, he was his first teammate, first rival, and a lifelong cheerleader. They were born just a few years apart, but they felt like twins in spirit. What Diogo lacked in flash, Andre made up in energy. What Andre needed in calm, Diogo provided in quiet focus. At school, they walked side by side every day. Andre told his friends, "My brother's going to be famous one day." Not with jealousy or boasting, but with joy. Every weekend, the two of them would head to the local pitch with a ball under Diogo's arm and a juice box in Andre's hand. They would spend hours playing one-on-one, trying to out-dribble, outrun, and outlaugh each other, but no matter how competitive things got, they never fought for long because deep down they both wanted the same thing, for each other to succeed. When Diogo began to attract attention from scouts, Andre wasn't surprised. He had always believed. He stayed up late, helping Diogo polish his cleats. He fetched water during training. He even tried to learn more about football tactics so they could talk about formations and strategies after dinner. When Diogo joined Portugese de Ferreira, Andre told everyone at school. He cut out every article about his brother and pasted them into a scrapbook. It wasn't for show, it was for love. Their friendship, built on playful arguments and shared dreams, was the kind that grew stronger with every step. Diogo took forward. No matter how far Diogo went, Andre was never far behind. In heart, in memory, and in love. From Portugese de Ferreira to FC Porto, and from Wolverhampton to Liverpool, Diogo's career unfolded like the pages of a fairy tale. But he never once lost his grounding. At Porto, he arrived as a loanee, but left as a dear friend. He stayed in the club dormitory, away from distractions and close to his dream. There were no lights-out pranks or rowdy celebrations, just early mornings, language lessons, and quiet discipline. Yet even there, he brought light. He listened to homesick teammates and learned the staff's names, and thanked the kitchen crew after every meal. He wasn't just growing as a player, he was building something else: trust. The trust followed him to Wolverhampton Wanderers in England, where things were faster, colder, and more demanding. But Diogo adjusted quickly. The fans noticed his work rate, the coaches noticed his intelligence, and one teammate noticed something more. Ruben Neves, another Portuguese player far from home, became Diogo's closest friend at Wolves. They bonded not just through shared language, but through a shared work ethic and quiet fire. Ruben called Diogo his brother on and off the pitch. They trained together, laughed together, and celebrated every goal like it belonged to them both. On rainy afternoons, they stayed late at the training ground, passed back and forth, creating rhythms that needed no words. After tough matches, they supported each other. They weren't just teammates, they were family. In the 2017-18 season, Diogo helped lead Wolverhampton to promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. He scored 17 league goals that season, finishing as one of the team's top scorers. His sharp runs, calming finishing, and ability to unlock defenses made him a fan favorite and a key piece in Wolves' success story. When the final whistle blew on the match that sealed promotion, Diogo didn't leap up or shout. He simply hugged Ruben Neves and looked around the stadium, taking it all in. Another step, another dream reached. And then came Liverpool. At first, some wondered if Diogo could break into the squad filled with stars. He didn't try to make noise. He simply showed up, trained hard, and did his job. Jurgen Klopp noticed immediately. So did the players. One of them, Andy Robertson, took to Diogo like a brother. They shared jokes in the dressing room, gave each other nicknames, and always made sure to sit near each other on team buses. Andy was loud and witty. Diogo was quieter and more thoughtful. Together, they made each other better. Diogo's the kind of guy who makes you want to be better, Andy thought. Not because he tells you to, because he shows you how. In training drills, they competed. In team huddles, they exchanged quick glances. On the pitch, they trusted each other completely. Diogo also drew close with Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, and Robert Firmino. He didn't try to outshine them. He asked questions, he studied their movements, and always played the game he loved. It didn't take long for the fans to notice. He scored on his Premier League debut. He netted a Champions League hat-trick against Atalanta. He became the first Liverpool player in history to score in each of his first 4 league games at Anfield. The cop began to chant and sing his name. As the seasons went on, Diogo's importance to Liverpool only grew. He scored in key derbies, in dramatic comebacks, and during European nights that felt touched by magic. He helped the team win the EFL Cup, the FA Cup. But the biggest prize came later. In the 24-25 season, Diogo played a vital role in Liverpool's run to their historic 20th Premier League title. He scored decisive goals, including a memorable winner against Everton in the Merseyside derby that kept Liverpool at the top of the table. Fans poured into the streets wearing his number. His name was sung in homes, in stadiums, and in schoolyards. When the final whistle blew on the match that clinched the title, Diogo looked up to the stands. His eyes searched not for glory, but for his family. For his brother, his parents, his childhood self in that backyard, he smiled. Because it wasn't just a win, it was a promise fulfilled. Supporters adored his relentlessness, how he chased every ball, tracked back to defend, and popped up in exactly the right place at the right time. But more than that, they loved his humility, his quiet celebrations, his sincere interviews, his respect for the club, the badge, and the fans. When injury struck, the team missed him. When he returned, the stadium buzzed a little louder. He doesn't just score goals, people would say. He gives us hope. Each new club, each new city, each new stadium, it all came with new friends because Diogo wasn't chasing fame. He was building something bigger, a legacy of trust, of loyalty, of friendship. And always, he remembered that backyard. The headlines called him a star. The fans called him a hero. But Diogo Jota never let those words change him. After his first hat-trick for Liverpool in the Champions League, the stadium erupted, the lights flashed, cameras clicked, and Diogo, he pointed to the sky. Quiet thanks, a whisper to the past. Later that week, he flew home to Portugal. He didn't go to fancy hotels or award dinners. He went straight to his parents' house, greeted his grandmother, sat in the backyard with Andre and passed the ball around just like they used to. That old chalk goal was still faintly there, the fence still rusted, the flowers had grown back. They played until the sky turned purple, and when they were done, Diogo placed a flower where one used to grow, right there beside a new pot they had planted together. Because heroes don't always roar, sometimes they whisper, sometimes they remember, and sometimes they bring the whole world with them, all the way back home. Never forget, you don't need to be loud to be great. You just need to Love what you do, cherish the people around you, and give it your heart. Give it your all. And maybe, just maybe, the friends you make along the way will help you become the person you're always meant to be. Sleep well and dream big, soccer friends. Oh, he wears the number 20. He will take us to victory. And when he's running down the left wing, he'll cut inside and score for LFC. He's a lad from Portugal, better than Figo, don't you know? Oh, his name is Diogo. Thank you for joining us on this enchanting journey through the world of soccer bedtime stories. As we reach the end of this episode, I want to express my gratitude for your presence and support. Your engagement means the world to us, and we invite you to become an integral part of our vibrant community. Make sure to subscribe and follow. This will not only keep the magic alive, but also help shape the stories we bring to you. We're eager to hear your feedback, suggestions, and the topics that ignite your passion. Feel free to reach out to us at soccerbedtimestories@gmail.com. Together we'll create a community that celebrates the magic of the beautiful game. Now, sleep well and dream big, soccer friends.